That's the thing. They were that deployment was so covered that you can Google it. They made documentaries about it.
Yeah.
They did all these things, and I don't like any of it.
Right.
Just because it's such a big part of my life and my family's life and so many different people's lives that it makes me somewhat uncomfortable of the hyper commercialization that happened afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, there's a cup the Marine Corps sells that I still have, and it's got all the top battles of the Marine Corps, famous things, Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, all these different things. And the last one listed is Marjah. Like, as you like look on it, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like everyone else there did stuff to be recognized as heroes, but when I look at it, I don't feel that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
When we went back after that to get ready for the big mission, February 13th, 2010, we're waiting there, and then we go and
same deployment.
Same deployment. So we left the outer ring, and then they're like, because like I said, they were trying to develop a plan of how to penetrate the city.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all like, we were probing the security sectors. The security ring is what it was called. And so they're like, well, there's no way in through the out. You guys are going to land dead center in the middle of town and then push out. Cool. And so we did that. February 13th, 2010 is when the mission launched. And we went in. They were like, yeah, there's going to be anti-aircraft fire, all this stuff. Birds only be on the ground for like less than 30 seconds. You got to get off. We had to carry, I can't remember what it's called now, an APOP, I think is what it's called. It's used to clear minefields. We had to carry those. They're huge. They're not meant to be carried by people. So we had to like retrofit like literally duct tape and like PVC pipe to like carry them like over our shoulders to clear like these IED laden fields. And we just went there, and the first 2 weeks were like pretty good. There was no one there. They waited for us to settle, and then every day after that was contact every single day.
Damn.
Every single day. So like when you give a patrol brief, you talk about the type of patrol you're going to do, and you're like, is it going to be a combat patrol, security patrol, whatever? Every single patrol was a combat patrol. That's how I briefed it. That's how it was briefed to me. And that means it's not like if we see the enemy, it's when we see the enemy. And we took a lot of casualties. Lost a lot of good people. So much so they had to rearrange my platoon, and I went from being a first team leader, which is I was like second in command of the rifle squad, to I then ended up becoming a squad leader myself. And our platoon had lost someone so incredible, and all those things that happened. It was just like I don't know, but there was, I was approached by the leadership, and I said, whatever I can do to get these guys home, I'm gonna do it. And every night I would pray, like, whatever happens, just take me. Don't let anybody go. And I did the best I could. I did everything I could. I gave it every single bit of effort that I could. And that happened in May, and that continued on until July when we came back. And that was actually when the fighting had like increased the most. Because at that time I'd walk through the fields, right? And I'd see poppies, and they're actually really gorgeous plants. But when they would start to get green and they would swell and you would squeeze them, kind of feel like a juicy orange. And you're like, okay, they haven't harvested this yet. Because when they take the bulb and they scrape it, the side of it, so the opium comes out. They'll milking the poppies, but they don't pierce it, because if you pierce it, it messes it all up. So they've got to like scrape it, and it comes out like tar. Some of them even like this little finger tool to like score it so it pours out, or they'll like take the side of a can, slice it, and then like rotate the can as it pours out. And so then I would see them, and I'm like, oh no, they've milked these. That's bad. And then if I would go through and I squeeze it and they would crush in my hand, they've milked it, harvested. That means everything's been cultivated, and that means they have money for heroin, which then is money for to fund all of their activities against us.
Dang.
And so as soon as they started cracking in my hand, I was like, okay. And so that carries on April, May, June as the summer happens, and that's when like literally every day, bang, 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 every day.
Dang.
Yeah. Complex ambushes. You'd be in the middle of a field. Stuff would start happening. They started setting up like traps for us, all sorts of different things. They just knew, they were watching us all the time. And so it was never a thing of like us not doing the right thing. It was just a thing of like how intense the battle space was. So
They were constantly like changing and evolving.
yeah, constantly. Like there was never a day where I was like, it's okay today. Like it was like, hey, we walk outside the wire, your eyes and ears are open. Like, stuff would happen that nobody did anything wrong. One of my friends lost both of his legs. They were doing everything right. Still, the vehicle had been blown up so many times that it failed, basically, and the blast was able to penetrate the hole. All right, like nothing wrong had happened. It's just like
Yeah.
it's a game of numbers, right? So like the more times you go out, the more opportunity there is for combat, and then it just continues and continues and continues.
Yeah.
And so after all that stuff had happened, when they came to me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to re-enlist?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to re-enlist. I don't want to re-enlist at all." Because I'd missed so much of my wife and my family, and I'd seen so much there that I was like, I can't keep doing this.